Grief can be a funny thing. I just got the chance to check out a movie called My Dead Friend Zoe, which hits theaters on February 28th. This movie is directed by Kyle Hausmann-Stokes, and this is his directorial debut for a feature film. I did a little bit of diving in, and this was actually based on a short film that he made previously in 2022, and is inspired by true events due to two of his friends that unfortunately took their own lives after serving in Afghanistan. The movie stars Sonequa Martin Green as a woman named Merritt, who has just finished serving in Afghanistan, and she's dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder as well as dealing with the loss of her friend Zoe, who day by day she sees as a piece of her life, helping her through all of her struggles, pointing her in directions whether or not they're good for her or not. But these really feel like Zoe. They feel real. She's also attending therapy, which is being hosted by Dr. Cole, played by Morgan Freeman. Always good to see Morgan Freeman in a project. And she is also dealing with the recent diagnosis of Alzheimer's on her grandfather, played by Ed Harris. Yes, Ed Harris, not Ed Helms. Like I said in my last review for ReCre8, I sincerely apologize. 8 hours of sleep or more is very important. Let me just say, though, he was great in this movie. I saw him in ReCre8, and he was great as this ex-criminal turned family man. And I previously saw him in Love Lies Bleeding, and he was also great in that movie as well. But in this movie, he plays an Army veteran who has recently been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And he's having a hard time accepting that and not wanting the assistance and possibly going into assisted living, which is something that I can relate to personally, as I unfortunately saw the decline of my grandparents. I also related to this movie a bit more too, because I have had friends who have passed on, and seeing the coping mechanism of hoping that they're still around and wanting them to still be around. It is a tough subject, and I understand to a degree how they're feeling. Merritt also meets a guy named Alex who works at the assisted living place, and they form a nice little bond together, eventually evolving into something maybe a little more. He's recently gone through a divorce and is maintaining the graves of his dead grandparents. So in a way, he can relate to some of her problems and does his best to help her out. I gotta say, this movie is really well done. I had a really good time watching it. It has a nice, good premise and delivers a good message that seeking help is definitely something that you should consider if you feel like you're struggling in any way, shape, or form. And it's dedicated to those in service who have either lost their lives or those who have known someone who has lost their lives. This was a really solid watch and definitely something I recommend if something like this is up your alley. It deals with tough subjects, but is done very well. Grief is a tough subject, and I can relate to it a good amount. Huge thank you to PixelSceneMedia for sending me this screener to check out. And be sure to check out My Dead Friend Zoe when it hits theaters on February 28th. And if you have not already, feel free to hit that follow button for more content surrounding movies. I'll see you soon.